I don't know if you guys have ever seen this before. I guess a little sneak peek behind the setup. This is normally where I record my videos, but I can't decide if I'm going to shoot the Q&A here or if I want to go over here for the couch. I guess we'll go with that. Let me see here. What questions we got? What we got? My boy Harish came in pretty hard with the questions, and I appreciate it. You're carrying this video. I really appreciate it. First question we got is, who do I think is going to win in the Vettori versus Izzy fight? I think the first time he fought, I mean, obviously Izzy was pretty green in the UFC. I don't know exactly what fight it was in the UFC. I want to say it was like maybe a second or third. It was one of his first couple fights in the UFC. And I mean, Marvin Vettori is a tough fight for anybody, especially in your first couple fights in the UFC. Adesanya handled it because it's Adesanya, but I think Adesanya's grown leaps and bounds since that fight. It doesn't matter where the fight goes. I think if Vettori tries to take him down, I think Adesanya's going to do a good job of stuffing the takedowns. I mean, even though his last fight, Adesanya got taken down, and that was pretty much how he lost the fight. I think it's a different story at 185. I think Adesanya's going to do a good job of stuffing the takedowns, and ultimately, I just think if it stays on the feet, he's just going to piece up Vettori and probably knock him out. Personally, I think Adesanya's going to knock Vettori out. I don't know which round, I have a prediction or anything like that, but overall, just as for my prediction for this fight, I think Adesanya's going to knock out Marvin Vettori. Moving on to the second question, who do I think is going to win in the Cyril Gane and Alexander Volkov fight? That is actually a very good fight. I really don't know. It's pretty tricky because I'm not into heavyweights like I am all the other divisions. Like, heavyweights is like one of the few divisions, which is kind of crazy because I mean Francis Ngannou is the champion, but outside of like Francis and maybe like the top 3, top 5, it's like it's just not that entertaining. It's not like it's a pretty big drop off too. I think honestly it'll be a big fight for Cyril to see how good Gane actually is. Gane's a pretty big, powerful dude, and he can move around. He might be able to catch Volkov with something, but I think if Volkov can keep that range, I think I'm going to ride with Volkov just for the experience and just how, I mean, the size and everything, and just given how good of a striker he is. I think if it plays out how like Gane's last fight was, where it's a really patient like kickboxing fight where he's in and out of range, just bouncing around, I think Volkov probably wins that fight, so I'm probably going to be riding with Volkov on that one. But again, I really don't know. I haven't thought much about these. Moving on, who do I think is going to win in the Colby and Usman 2 fight if that fight does happen? I really don't know. It's tough to say just because whenever that fight happened last, whenever it was, like 2019, like a year and some change ago, I really think, obviously both those guys are 2 different fighters since then. Both of them, I'm guessing, have grown since then. But it seems that Usman's grown a lot since then, and he's been way more active. We'll have to see if Colby's grown as much as Usman. But if Usman keeps progressing at the rate he's progressing, and Colby, I mean, I really don't see who's going to beat Kamaru Usman right now. Honestly, if Covington doesn't beat him, if Leon Edwards doesn't beat him, I really don't know who's going to beat him. I think those are the 2 fights to make for Usman. I think, personally, if you put a gun to my head, I'm going to say Usman's going to win Colby versus Usman 2. But the last fight was very close, and if it's anything like the last time around and Colby makes the adjustments maybe that he needs to make, he might be able to pull it off the win, but honestly I think Usman's going to win. And then I have another question here asking who is my favorite fighter in the UFC for each weight class. I guess just to start like with the women's, I really don't know. I mean, I'll honestly just go with all the champions because I don't have like women's fighters that I'm like super like really big on. I think honestly out of all the champions I'd probably go with Rose, but I think I would just ride with the 3 champions because I feel like out of any of the champions, you can't really go wrong with any of those. For the men's division, starting with flyweight, my favorite 125 pounder, I really don't know. That's kind of tough. I really like Brandon Royval just because he's really fun to watch. Figueiredo is really fun to watch as well, but I think it would just be cheap to kind of give off the champion. But honestly, if I'm just giving you one off the top, I really like Brandon Royval. Moving on to 135, 135, and may get some hate for this, whatever. I think my favorite 35er is definitely Sean O'Malley. There's a lot of really good fighters in the 135-pound division. I'm just a big fan of Sean O'Malley. I like watching him fight. He's really exciting, and I mean, you're guaranteed to get some sort of finish when you watch him fight. If I'm not picking Sean O'Malley though, if I'm picking someone like in the top 5 or something like that, probably Corey Sandhagen. Again, he's got like that similar like kind of long kickboxing build and just very entertaining to watch. Going up to 145, I like Max Holloway. Max Holloway is one of my favorites. If I'm not picking Max Holloway, it's probably either going to be like Brian Ortega or Zabit. Zabit's really exciting, but he's someone that's hard to like get to fight. He doesn't fight very often. He fights like once a year. But I would say any of those 3, either Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, or Zabit. Moving on to 155. Again, I feel like it would be like, this is kind of a cheap answer, but I mean, he's not really the champion anymore. Habib, I really like Habib a lot, but really, if I'm not talking about Habib, I think Poirier is probably my favorite 155 pounder. Poirier's a stud. Like I was campaigning for Poirier even before the Conor fight. I was saying he was going to knock out Conor before, back in January. I really like watching Poirier fight. If I'm not talking about Poirier, I like Charles Oliveira too. I mean, I'm naming top fighters, but Oliveira is another dude. Like, he's literally dangerous anywhere the fight goes. I really think he's going to beat Michael Chandler. A lot of people think Michael Chandler is going to beat him. I think he's going to prove that there's levels to this. Michael Chandler's good, but I think Oliveira is just on another level. Those are probably the two 55ers I like. Going up to 170. 170 is tough. I really like Jorge Masvidal. I mean, he lost last week and got knocked out pretty bad. I really like Masvidal. He's really fun to watch, and he's just like skillfully. If you're someone that really likes to watch like technique and like really good skill, Masvidal's one of those guys, especially stand up. Like his stand up is beautiful. Like his defense, everything is kickboxing. Usman's another dude. He's just so dominant. Like he's very good. Usman's very well rounded, but there's nothing like flashy about it, I guess, so that's maybe why it doesn't sell as well to me like someone like Masvidal. But I'm not talking about Masvidal. I like Khamzat. I mean, he's like not even ranked in 170, or he might be number 15. I like Khamzat as well. I want to see him fight again, but Khamzat, he'll be a stud. Going up to 185, this is cheap, but I'm gonna say Adesanya. Adesanya is probably my favorite 185 pounder. If I'm not talking about the champion, Darren Till is definitely my second favorite. I love Darren Till. Both those guys are like really cool people. Like, not even just talking about like fighters, just like as people. They're really funny guys. And I don't know, I really like both those guys, and I hope to see both of them fight here someday. That seems to be the fight that Adesanya is trying to make happen, and that's a fight I would love to see happen as a fan. Going up to 205, my favorite 205er. That's tough because I would say John Jones, but he's not a 205er anymore. And I literally only like John Jones, I guess, as a fighter. Outside of the octagon, he's really flipping annoying. I really don't have a favorite 205 pounder. If I'm just gonna throw one at you, just spitball one at you, I'm going to go with Alexander Rakic just because I think he's going to be a problem here in the future. And then move up to heavyweight, my favorite heavyweight. It's tough because I want to say Stipe just because I've liked Stipe for a long time, but after watching Francis and the Francis fight, how can you not like Francis, especially his story? Just given how flippin' scary Francis is, his knockout power, and how much like he's just grown as a fighter from 2018 when he first fought for the title, and up until now, like skillfully he's grown leaps and bounds. He's a terrifying fighter, and his story and everything, like given how scary of a man he is and how easily he could kill you with his bare hands, he could be a nicer person and he couldn't have like a more likable story. So those are probably my favorite fighters in each division. And then I got another question here. How did I get into UFC and BJJ? UFC, I don't really have like a specific reason I got into UFC. I've been watching like MMA for literally as long as I can remember, for as long as my memory goes back. I've been watching mixed martial arts literally to like 2003, 2004, 2005, like that area. But I've literally been watching it my whole entire life. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I got into that just because like right after high school I didn't really have anything to do. My uncle actually, he'd been training for a couple months actually before me. He was a white belt and he'd been training and he was trying to get me to sign up, and he kept asking me and I kept like pushing it off and not doing it. And eventually I was just going just to try it out. I had no intention of actually doing it. I was going to do it just like, alright, he's asking me and I'll just go see what it's like, whatever. And I actually ended up loving it. I fell in love and I've been doing it ever since. 3 years later I'm still doing it. That's going to wrap up the Q&A though. Answered everybody's questions. Those of you that did ask questions, I appreciate it. Hope you're happy with your responses. Next time, if you guys want to ask me questions or anything like that, stick around for another Q&A. If I do something some other time, subscribe and just leave your comments, and maybe I'll just answer them randomly in a video or next time I do a Q&A. I hope you guys did enjoy this video though. If you guys did, please be sure to drop a like. Send my video to someone else if you guys know someone else that would enjoy this video. And if you guys haven't already, please subscribe. It really helps me grow this channel a lot. I know it's kind of a weird video. I was going to throw it in with the vlog that you guys are going to see up. I'm probably going to upload that tonight, and I'll probably have this uploaded tomorrow. I was going to throw this in with that, but I thought I might as well make two separate videos because I think it would just be annoying if I made one really long video. So I thought I'd give you guys two separate videos. But I hope you guys did enjoy. Till next time.